Now, one person we did hear from today for the first time, Karen Reed herself, doubling down, of course, saying she did not do this. She wants to know who did.
Said it feels we're the only ones fighting for the truth of what happened to John O'Keefe. And me and my family and my attorneys and my team have marshaled every resource to get to the truth. It just feels like no one else wants it.
Karen, just to be clear, you didn't do it.
We know who did it, Steve. We know. And we know who spearheaded this cover-up. You all know.
Yes, we do.
And no, she didn't do it. No, she didn't do it. This is an innocent woman. She didn't do it.
I tried to save his life.
Yeah.
I tried to save his life at 6 in the morning. I was covered in the only one trying to save his life.
Why'd you admit to it?
She didn't admit to it. She didn't admit to anything close to that. Nothing close to that. And you should know that.
That was like 3 or 4 times she admitted to it.
No, she didn't.
That's not true.
She asked a question. She asked a question, which is very different. She didn't admit to anything.
Let's go.
You are listening to the Roberta Glass True Crime Report, putting the true back in true crime. From New York City, Roberta Glass is now on the record.
Okay, here we go. How is everybody? Boy, it feels good to be back in New York after being away. Thank you to everyone who tuned into my premiere yesterday of the episode I did with my mom, who knows everything about the royal family, about Prince Andrew's latest scandal. I appreciate it. It was fun to do. Hey, Busty DD says, we know. Love the intro, she says. I love that intro too. Do you ever see, does anybody ever look at Karen Reed when Alan Jackson steps in for her and starts to deny it? So because she can't deny it, she does her whole speech. We've marshaled every resource. And then Alan Jackson steps in and starts denying it. And she's kind of smiles and nods. And then after Alan Jackson's done, she has this little moment where she looks like she's about to talk. And it's like this really feral face she makes. Looks like she's about to, she looks like a dog about to bite. That's what she looks like. Does anybody ever check that? Should we watch it again? I'll show you what I mean in a little bit. Let's just see how everybody's doing. Oh my God, this intro makes me cringe. Says Kim K. Kimmy K. Hey, nice to see you. Dean Walker, nice to see you. He's on time today. Hey, Angela Whittick. Kimmy K says, I wish Hank Brennan could ask her in court who the person is that she's referring to. Right. And Kimmy K, good point. And also, the rumor is going around is that they're going to accuse Brian Higgins this time around of being, hey guys, I got a scoop for you. I got a big scoop for you. Brian Higgins is the real killer. He's the real killer. Apparently, they marshaled every resource and couldn't get to the truth. But now it's Brian Higgins who's going to go down for, I guess, going to say he's the one who ran John O'Keefe over. I noticed on X today. Let me get to I'll show you what Microdots wrote. 1 second. Let me just share my screen and show y'all. So Microdots wrote, Brian Higgins had the means, motive, and opportunity. So did, I would say Karen Reed did, but okay. To murder Officer John O'Keefe, his phone records and movements throughout are highly incriminating. I think next to the evidence against Karen Reed, looks quite small, but okay. Women rarely murder their boyfriends. It's much more common for sexually frustrated, inferior men to murder their romantic rivals. Plus, he's a proven liar. You know who's a proven liar? Karen Reed. I don't think Brian Higgins is a proven liar, but okay. And there's also news. Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Let me stop sharing this. And I'm going to just take a quick break. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. I just have to fix something. My apologies, guys. Be back in 1 minute.
We don't take a break. Grab a snack or maybe a glass of wine. Roberta will be back in no time. This podcast is listener supported, so smash that like button and subscribe or become a patron for exclusive content if you are so inclined. Have something to say? Shoot Roberta a super chat. She will do her best to read it on air without delay. Now Roberta's back and ready to put the true back in true crime. Here's Roberta.
Okay, I'm back. It's fixed. Thank you. Thanks for your patience. So I had something pulled up and it had a video portion. It just started playing in my ear. I was like, it's like hearing voices. Kitties, 1993, how are you? Good evening, Roberta and everybody. You're still working? Well, hang in there, kitties. So that's the news that they're going to... Comfort and Joy says, nice to see you, Comfort and Joy. I hope Higgins knows enough important people to shut them down. Well, I don't know if you can shut down. I think the question really, I don't know if you can shut down an innocence fraud campaign. I've never seen anyone be able to shut it down. You can, the closest I've seen is Ken Kratz, the prosecutor of Stephen Avery and Brendan Dassey, single-handedly got to the media and got his side of the story out. But the campaign, by the way, Stephen Avery, Teresa Hallback's killer, just got denied by the Supreme Court for a new trial. So they never give up, but that innocence fraud campaign that started with making a murderer hopefully is at its close, is limping around. I know there's still true believers because I hear from them on Twitter, but I think if you think about how big that was and how many people were fooled by that doc, so that's limping to its conclusion. So I don't think they can really do anything about the putting his name out in the media and the public. But I think the more pressing question is, can the Karen Reed's defense establish a third-party culprit so that they can even accuse Brian Higgins publicly in court? I don't know. That seems that's going to be fascinating to watch. Whether last time, basically, they never developed a third-party culprit defense, and they just sort of did it anyway. They hinted at it. They walked a fine line, crossing the line and stepping back and crossing again. So there's a lot of Karen Reed news today. Hey, Lolly77. There's a lot of Karen Reed news today. For one, let us start with Michael Proctor. So he had his hearing totally in secret. No press, no public allowed. And it will continue. So let me just show you what Christina Rex had to say about it. Just go to X. She says, suspended state trooper Michael Proctor is inside the Framingham State Police headquarters for a trial board hearing to determine the future of his job with Massachusetts State Police. Here's what we know at this time. And this was for WBZ. So here's her reporting.
Paula, this is known as a trial board hearing, and it's been ongoing since about 10 a.m. this morning. Now, these are private, so media and the public have no access to this hearing, and we won't know the results until the new state police colonel announces them once a decision has been made. Now, I just want to remind all our viewers
I just want to remind all my viewers that I don't have a lot of faith in the Massachusetts State Police, since one of their top dogs came out and said that we're going to work on getting rid of the corruption. There's no place for they called this corruption. They called mean texts corruption. Michael Proctor's mean texts after working long shifts in a nor'easter, excuse me. They called that corruption. So I don't have a lot of faith that they won't throw him under the bus to the dogs, whatever euphemism or adage you want to use there. I just don't have a lot of faith that this will go well, even though he does have my understanding and what's been said. I haven't looked at his police record, is that he had a perfect police record before this and ended by the federal investigation that Karen Reed got with her connections, basically. Just so revolting, really, isn't it?
when this disciplinary situation started. It all started on June 10th of last year when Trooper Proctor testified.
She's a whack job. Yes, she's a babe. Weird Fall River accent, though.
You likely remember Trooper Proctor's testimony in the Karen Reed trial. He was the lead investigator into the death of John O'Keefe for the Norfolk County.
Right. So this was inappropriate. He should have just said, I'm working on a case. I can't talk about it till I'm done investigating. Sorry. But when you're sleep deprived, away from your family, and working under unpleasant conditions, and you think what you're saying, and a lot of people have this feeling around their text messages. They feel that they'll never be looked at by anyone else. And so often, people get busted with their text messages. Because we assume it's like a phone call and not recorded.
County DA's office. As a part of a separate federal investigation into the case, Proctor's personal cell phone was searched. That search revealed lewd text messages about Karen Reed, which were then presented at her trial. Immediately after the trial ended, Proctor was transferred out of the DA's office, then suspended without...
Do Karen Reed's eyes look glossy there? Did I see glossy eyes? I have to go back. Is she getting dry eye, or is this the only time in the case that we ever saw any emotion, is when mean things were said about her? Look at this. Check this out again.
then presented at her trial. Immediately after the trial ended, Proctor was transferred out of the DA's office, then suspended without pay.
Yes.
He's remained in that
Is she attempting to cry for sympathy for the jury?
limbo since July. Today's hearing is where his job's future will be determined. What consequences will he face for the misconduct? The State Police Trial Board, which consists of high-ranking officers and operates like a court, will likely consider Proctor's inappropriate texts about Karen Reid, his revealing details of the investigation to family and friends, and allegations that at one time he went drinking with another officer before driving his cruiser. Former state trooper and law enforcement expert Todd McGee weighs in.
It's unfortunate. There's been a number of misconduct within my former agency. I know many of these individuals. Public trust is everything. And when we take that oath of office, you're sworn to serve and protect.
Yeah, but okay, so what did they say here? They're talking about, did he do something inappropriate text about Karen Reid, revealing investigation information to family and friends, allegations of drinking, then driving a state police cruiser. Now that's serious. That's more serious to me. That puts the public at risk. And I don't know how much he revealed about the investigation. I mean, Karen Reid was telling everybody that she hit him. A lawyer could argue that wasn't confident, that was known, but
friends, and allegations that at one time he went drinking with another officer before driving his cruiser. Former state trooper and law enforcement expert Todd McGee weighs in.
It's unfortunate. There's been a number of misconduct within my former agency. I know many of these individuals. Public trust is everything. And when we take that oath of office, you're sworn to serve and protect.
Again, Trooper Proctor's trial board hearing is going on right now.
Okay, serve and protect, with the exception of the driving drunk or driving with alcohol. I don't know if they're saying he drove drunk or after drinking a police cruiser. That's more serious. That actually does put the public at risk. I don't know, depending on how drunk you are or how much you've had to drink. But this is, when I think of misconduct, I think of planning evidence. I think of things beyond mean texts, but we'll see how this turns out. He's certainly been punished without pay for a long time. His children and himself and his wife have no health insurance, is from what I've heard. Or they're struggling to pay for health insurance.
What'll happen once it's over is that the trial board will make some determination. They will give that to the colonel, and he will decide exactly what the final punishment will be.
Okay, so that is a little update on Michael Proctor, and he goes back in February. So we'll find out in February how that turns out. Also, in other news, before we get to talking about Nathan Reid and his criminal background, Gretchen Voss handed over her notes, and I assume it's all everything that the court asked for, the unedited tapes, handed over, and her notes. The notes are the things that I'm the least interested in, because I would think that a defense team could argue that they're subjective, unless that there are direct quotes from Karen Reid in her notes. I'm more curious about the unedited interview tapes and what her lawyers did to prompt her, help her with her interview with Gretchen Voss. So Gretchen Voss handed it all over. Let me pull up some information about that really quickly. Let me just go to my bookmarks and I will pull it up. 1 second. I have so much stuff to show you today, guys. My computer is full of stuff. Let's see. All bookmarks. 1 second. Okay, here we go. So, Grant Smith Ellis. Hopefully this is correct. Did a long post about it. Boston Magazine reporter Gretchen Voss has complied with a court order in the Karen Reed trial, compelling Voss to produce all the off-the-record notes of an interview with Karen Reed on July 7th, 2023. During Reed's first trial in 2024, Voss was not required to produce these. Show more. Oh, now it goes over here somehow. Produce these off-the-record notes. However, after December 2024 pretrial ruling leading up to Reed's second trial in April of 2025, Voss was ordered to do. So first trial, not required. Second trial, a different story. Voss asked for reconsideration of that order earlier this month, and Judge Cannoni ordered oral arguments on that motion for late January of 2025. However, Cannoni also ordered Voss to turn over the notes in question by January 13th, 2025 for the purposes of an in-camera, meaning secret, not recorded, inspection by the court, and Voss has now formally complied with that order, and in turn the documents are also impounded, meaning no one can read them. So we don't know what's in that notes. As a result, Judge Cannoni is now in sole control as to whether these off-the-record notes will be admitted into evidence against Karen Reed and in turn made public. Read the initial court order, all the rest there. So I thought that was a pretty fair summation. Also, let's get to Nathan Reed, which is the subject of today's episode. So Nathan Reed has never stopped asking for money and has been really what I see, in my view, an accomplice in the Karen Reed story, wiping the snow off of her left tail light while leaving the right damaged tail light covered in snow. And Jams on Twitter, let me just share it with you. To quote the Wizard of Oz, saw that he has a criminal background. To quote the Wizard of Oz, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, or I guess we could say pay no attention to the family behind the curtain. As part of a plea agreement with Nathan Reed, the Commonwealth agreed not to seek additional charges in Attleboro or New Bedford. So these are it looks like he stole from the bookstore at the community college, and he had to pay a restitution amount of, it was in the 20s of thousands of 20-something thousand in restitution so that he didn't get a record, really. So that will give you an idea. And he's been shilling for Karen Reed, asking for money and saying that the people that are the most supportive, or they get the most joy from getting people who have gone without to support Karen Reed, having a small pizza instead of a large pizza, because this is a family. Remember when Karen Reed said John O'Keefe was frugal? I feel she was talking about herself. That's not a kind thing to say. I think she was the one who was frugal with her money, and I think that this is a family trait, and they don't want the family to spend the least amount of money on Karen's defense, and the hardworking public to spend all their hard-earned cash on Karen Reed's defense. Yeah, it's really unclear, Kitty's 1993, whether he was, it seems he was an employee of the bookstore, but was he a student there? He seems a little old to have been a student there, because he's in his 40s now. And this didn't happen all that long ago. And did this happen in the teens? It's my memory. Hold on. 2018. It was finally figured out legally. So there's a lot of unfilled in blanks there. But what a Maestro says, bookstore manager Nathan Reed attributes the positive trends. Oh, let me pull it up. Positive trends to the convenience of shopping online and skipping bookstore lines. Yeah, it was embezzlement was the charge. So he must have embezzled from this bookstore. So thank you. Yeah, there's a lot of unanswered questions. Innocence Fraud Watch did an excellent blog on the Reed family. And Nathan Reed. Let's take a look. Let's remember all the people, the characters in the Reed family, or some of them. Killer Karen Reed retrial. How did William and Janet Reed create such a wicked, deceitful, and manipulative human being? Or maybe you could say human beings. Include recently released call and text messages. Shallow. Earlier this year, a week or so before her trial for her murder of John O'Keefe was due to start, Karen Reed stated of her mother, Janet Reed, "It's not a pet peeve of my mother's to see," it's correction. Let me start again. Karen Reed stated of her mother, Janet Reed, "It's a pet peeve of my mother to see people with sleeves that are too long." You can listen to the clip below. Subsequently, Karen Reed appeared displeased with the trailer for ABC's 2020 Innocence Fraud TV show Karen Reed: The Perfect Storm, which included her statement about her mother's pet peeve. So much so, she took to Facebook to express her displeasure, as can be seen in the screenshot below. Karen Reed: "They asked me how I get dressed in the morning, and that's what goes in the trailer." With face emoji. If Karen Reed was asked how to, is that an eye roll emoji? What is that emoji exactly? I'm not sure. I just call it the emoji. If Karen Reed was asked how she got dressed in the morning, why did she choose to tell ABC 2020 team a story about the sleeves on her jacket and how the tailor shortened them and how it's a pet peeve of her mother's to, quote, to see people with sleeves that are too long. Janet Reed, there she is. Shallow people like Janet Reed tend to be poor listeners. The reasoning for this is because they are usually thinking about themselves, what my father used to call everyone's favorite subject, themselves, or are hyper-focused on superficial things like how long someone's sleeves are. It would be interesting to hear Janet Reed's thoughts on the image below and whether or not she thought her daughter was, quote, looking professional for court, unquote, on this particular day. Person, medication, and killer's parents' intervention. It will be interesting to see if the Commonwealth chose to subpoena Janet Reed and William Reed to testify during their daughter's second trial for her murder. Will Janet Reed finally be asked why she appeared to be hyper-focused, quote unquote, on her daughter's seemingly non-existent purse and medication on the morning of January 29th, 2022? Carrie Roberts said when she was on her way to Braintree to pick up John O'Keefe's parents, John and Peggy O'Keefe, to take them to Good Samaritan Hospital in Brockton, she received a call from Sergeant Good asking her to drive Karen Reed back to her crime scene. Carrie Roberts had planned to take Karen Reed with her to pick up the O'Keefes and drive them all to the hospital, but William and Janet Reed intervened. Carrie Roberts' testimony was that Sergeant Good had said her parents have called in a end it all, end everything thing. My words, not theirs. And they wanted her to be sectioned. She wants to end it all. My words, not theirs. And they want her to be sectioned. Carrie Roberts also testified. So then one of the first responders came over and said, do you have her phone? And I said, yes. Her mother said, make sure she does not have her purse. Isn't that weird? Has anybody else obsessed about that? Thought deeply? Because I've always wondered about why her mother said, make sure she does not have her purse. What was in her purse? Carrie Roberts also testified that Janet Reed had said to her, please make sure she does not have her purse. She has medication in her purse. I don't want her to take. Oh, okay. You really think that the hospital staff couldn't handle that? But according to ring camera footage from what Karen Reed, Carrie Roberts, and Jennifer McCabe arrived at 1 Meadows Avenue at around 5:46 a.m., Karen did not appear to have a purse with her, and no one other than Janet Reed ever mentioned Karen having a purse with her in that morning. William Reed. There's William Reed. Anybody remember him? The first jury never got to see the text messages between Karen Reed and her father, William Reed, or her mother during ABC's 2020, pre-recorded September 2024, Innocence Fraud TV show called Karen Reed, The Perfect Storm. A clip from Karen Reed from 2024 was played in which she stated, I had called my father. He didn't answer. And I texted him, John is dead. I didn't know. She does that weird stumbling on her words thing. I didn't know for sure that John was dead, but I'm trying to elicit a response, and I thought John could be dead. And he called me back, and I was distraught. You notice how we've never seen her actually be distraught. We've only seen her over-the-top theatrics, but never real remorse, sadness, or Karen Reed appearing distraught. But she has to tell everybody she's distraught. And I said, I don't want to live. I mean, I didn't have any ideation of harming myself. I've never dealt with grief of this magnitude, and I just felt out of my skin. And so my father called the police. Calculating and cunning. I'm up, just heard the phone. Karen Reed texted her father at 6:31:54 a.m., which was after William Reed, where Janet Reed had texted his daughter at 6:31:46 a.m. So Karen Reed texted her father at 6:31:54 a.m. and William Reed had texted his daughter at 6:31:46 a.m. stating, "I'm up, just heard the phone." And it doesn't really add up. So in August, Ted Daniels of Boston News 25 stated of William Reed and Janet Reed, but Reed's parents says there's so much more to the story that doesn't add up. So that's the parents. Let's get into Nathan Reed. Okay. Killer Karen Reed retrial. Fraudulent and disrespectful brother Nathan Reed lies and claims outside the Massachusetts State House. We come with receipts, but still no sign of his wife. So his wife, Caitlin, I always think is the one who might spill the beans should she be subpoenaed to testify. Fraudster Nathan Reed, the brother of killer Karen Reed, claims, my words not Innocence Fraud Watches, claims we come with receipts. Then William Reed was able to provide evidence to support his daughter alleged John is dead text message. So here we go.
This is not over. We must prepare for round two. And we need all of you. We need all of your support, all of your love. Okay? I'll back up what Rita said. Please tell everyone. Show them the facts. We have the facts. This isn't about feelings, right? This is about facts. All right? We come with receipts. Thank you all.
We come with receipts, but we could never establish a third-party culprit that anyone else ever did it. We come with receipts. Oh, what receipts? On the 19th of September, 2024, fraudster Nathan Reed stood in front of a microphone. Okay, we got that. In reality, the Reed family know Karen Reed killed John O'Keefe. They know Karen Reed's right rear taillight on her SUV was not smashed to smithereens when she reversed out of the garage at 1 Meadows Avenue at 5:07 a.m. They all know the smash to smithereens right rear taillight was caused by Karen Reed reversing into John O'Keefe and clipping him outside 34 Fairview. Nathan Reed was caught on ring camera footage brushing snow off his sister's left rear taillight on the 29th of January 2022, but Nathan Reed avoided the snow on the right smashed to smithereens taillight. Nathan Reed's wife, Caitlin Boudreaux Reed, and her suspicious behavior was also captured on ring camera footage. Caitlin appeared mesmerized by what she witnessed. Caitlin appeared mesmerized by what she witnessed, so much so she was absent from her sister-in-law's first murder trial. Where are the receipts for Richie, the alleged Mansfield plumber? We all know about that. Said he's got to go to Home Depot, probably be back mañana. This is the plumber. The last text messages back and forth between Karen Reed and John O'Keefe. Karen Reed saying that she's going to be delayed coming out because she has a plumber over fixing her hot water problem. And John O'Keefe told his friend that he was annoyed that Karen Reed didn't ask him to fix her hot water issues with her because his dad's a plumber. Karen Reed texted John O'Keefe. Carrie texted that they're headed out in a bit. Where are the receipts to prove Carrie Curran? Texted Karen Reed. Okay. We come with receipts. Where are the receipts for Richie the Mansfield plumber? We're still waiting to see if I'm really curious if Hank Brennan's going to talk about the plumbing. The plumber. It seems so key to me in everything that happened that night. But because it wasn't written in Gretchen Voss's article, which was written early on, it's never been included in the narrative. I never hear anyone else talk about it besides Innocence Fraud Watch and me. Let's talk about this plumber. Seems so clear to me it was a tactic to make John O'Keefe feel ineffective and not needed and rile him up and annoy him, and it did work. So also, Nathan Reed was also raising money for Karen Reed, and then we'll show his latest interview. Here we go on.
Make it consistently to.
Everybody give a warm welcome to Mr. Nathan Reed.
Oh my
Karen
goodness.
Reed's brother.
We need all of your energy, your financial.
Oh, it's got music, but he's basically like, we need everything. We need all your money. Hand it all over. I didn't realize there was music behind this. I don't really want to risk it. But yeah, they're like, hand over your money. I got to cover this in maybe another episode. But he's just like, hand it over. And the same type of thing he was doing in the latest LTL Media episode. Let's take a look together, shall we?
Guest in is we have Nathan Reed live here on LTL Media for the very first time, and thank you and welcome to the show.
How are you, Brian?
I'm well. Wow, what a
Doesn't he look odd standing there just in front of the screen? I'm gonna do this live stream standing, so you get a good shot of my ceiling fan. What is he doing? Also, by the way, I put a link before I go on to Lindsay Gattani's. She needs a lawyer. She's being sued by Turtle Boy, Aiden Carney, for $2 million. And she has been smeared, robbed of her voice, and she needs a lawyer to fight this. I really thank everybody who gave. Please, if you can't give, share the link. Or leave a message or pray for Lindsay. I think that's one of the things you can do here if you're a faithful person. So it should be linked up at the top, her Give, Send, Go. But even if you have just a small amount, big amount to support her, I feel it's really important that she knows that the community is behind her.
day, huh? What a day. We have Dr. Russell, where Judge Bev actually stepped up and did one for the Reed team today and qualified well beyond, a shadow of a doubt. That
Qualified. beyond a shadow of a doubt. Did anybody read? Does anybody remember the last episode where I read the judge's ruling? Where she's like, she really doesn't have any specialty in this. She's like treated these wounds. And what Judge Cannoni said is that she's treated so many wounds. I think that she should have proved that she treated that many dog bites, that she's seen that many dog bites. I believe she's full of beans. Nice way of putting it. I don't believe her that she's seen hundreds of thousands of dog bites, as she puts it. And if she gets up on the stand, Hank Brennan correctly surmised that she was a very narcissistic, vain, full of herself person. Arrogant is really the word I'm looking for. Arrogant woman. And he honed in on that. And he said, he was talking about a dog bite expert, and Marie Russell had never heard of this expert. And she said, well, nobody is as qualified. I don't think he's as qualified as I am. She feels she is the most qualified expert in the world. And coming up against someone like Jim Crosby, if the difference in testimony, the contrast, I don't think it's been such a solid to the Reed family to let this woman in. I think it would have been more of a solid to the Reed family to keep her out. But okay, on the positive for the Reed family, if she convinces one juror, we might get to have a hung jury again. But I don't see, in no world do I see Karen Reed getting acquitted, but I could be wrong. Anything's possible. Anything's possible. But I can see us having another hung jury, or her getting convicted of some of the small charges as a concession, or all of the charges. But I don't see her getting acquitted of this, but who knows?
Dr. Russell is a qualified expert to talk on dog bites, so that's a definite win for Karen Reed's team. And I know
Right. Just like I am. I mean, I've now been emboldened to say I am a cat expert for my years of hands-on feline experience. I'm better than a vet. No one has more experience, decades experience with felines. Nobody's more experienced or knows more about felines than I do, and I'm charging $600. I have now been emboldened by Judge Cannoni's decision to call Marie Russell an expert in dog bites. And I love how they just tell their audience, just keep brainwashing them. She's more than qualified. She's more than qualified expert. Give me a break. She was eviscerated by anyone who's not brainwashed by the Free Karen Reed cult. It was a disaster for her to be cross-examined by Hank Brennan. Judge Cannoni, I believe, only let her in because she let her in last time. She doesn't want to be embarrassed. Like, what was wrong with her? You let in an unqualified expert last time? What happened there? Is Buddy the expert? Wesley loves Oktoberfest. Is that your dog? Or is that your cat, Wesley? Buddy's the expert. You're the assistant translator. If Karen were innocent, why can't she just say it? We know why. Yeah, Angela. And she seems to just love to brag that she did it. Doesn't she? It's like she can't help herself. She's so pleased with her own handiwork, which is why I think she was fantasizing about it. So when I say it was planned, I think the impulse was there to do this long before the crime. And she told us herself it's a mistake not to think it wasn't planned. Like, if he breaks up with me, he's going to be taught a lesson. Remember what Karen Reed said? Teaching John a lesson was the plan at minimum. If he dumps me, he tried to break up with her 2 weeks before, and she wouldn't leave the home. It was a week or two before. It may not have been 2 weeks. It may have been a week, excuse me, but very close to this crime. Buddy's your cat, Wesley? No, Buddy's not my cat. I just call him Buddy sometimes. No. You want to see my cat? Hold on 1 second. Let's pull up the real. If you're saying, sometimes I call him Buddy. Like, listen, Buddy. That's it. Come on. That is a cute cat. No? That's my cat. One of two. So like I said, $600 an hour. Tons of hands-on feline experience.
We were excited. It was all over Twitter. It was all over Facebook today. I had tons of text messages of just people being really happy about it. And I'm sure that you're all doing well in your camp as well, too.
Yeah, it was a big day. You know, I think it would have been difficult for Judge Cannoni to leave out Dr. Russell after allowing her to be on the stand, obviously.
I agree with you. Hey, guess what? Miracles happen. Nathan Reed and I agree on something. I think Judge Cannoni. I'm not crazy about Judge Cannoni. She is. What I notice about her is she's very favorable to the defense, and she kowtows to the lawyer with the biggest reputation. So in the first trial, it was Alan Jackson and David Yannetti, and she really let them just go crazy and do whatever they wanted, basically. And now it's Hank Brennan. Unfortunately, I wish she would let Hank Brennan go crazy and do whatever he wanted, and actually approve some of his filings. But this one, I think she's too aware. What was I doing as a judge, letting in an unqualified expert into a trial?
First trial. So I'd like to think that this is we're par for the course here. But we'll see what happens in regards to what the Commonwealth plans to do, moving forward over the coming weeks, both on the 31st and then February 6th and 7th. But I'll remain quiet on anything legal and let Cap go. Really, the reason I wanted to jump on was to say hi, and this is a great show tonight, because I do think what comes out of the trial.
Really? You think he really jumped on to say hi? It's a great show? Because strangely, everybody, hey, guess what? They're having a standout, a Karen Reed standout, meaning a protest. Guess that's the new word for a protest? Free Karen Reed, even though she's out on bail, as free as a bird. Another free Karen Reed. Karen Reed, innocence fraud, standout on the 19th.
Hearing with Mass State Police and Michael Proctor on Wednesday could be potential.
Barb 417 called it. I jumped on to beg for money. Right on target, Barb.
Massive news, and that's really where my mindset is, as well as the national standouts that are coming this Sunday on the 19th. So we're looking for as much outreach as we possibly can, and really the Reed family thanking the boots on the ground for the tremendous efforts that they've put forth for month after month. And so that's what my mindset is going into this week. It's really Trooper Proctor on Wednesday, what comes out of that, and then the standouts on Sunday. I'll tell you and everyone watching the show tonight that I plan on being in Denton to thank the boots on the ground on Sunday, awesome, as well as Warwick, Rhode Island.
Yeah, so he'll be it's like when he'll be like the consolation act, like when the stand-in for Karen Reed. Karen Reed won't go and thank her supporters on the ground, but he will. It's like the stand-in in the play. Like we won't see Nathan Lane in the in the role tonight. In the role of innocence fraud grifter for Karen Read. Karen Read herself will not be appearing, but her grifty, also criminal brother, Nathan Read, will be appearing. Yay! Right? All right, here, I'm just going to...
And possibly some other places. I know some other Read family members will do the same, but at different locations. So we're going to try to spread out and just thank people, shake hands, and kiss babies, as they say in the car business. So, but I just wanted to jump on and say thanks for everything. Enjoying the show, and you.
He's a car salesman. Is he a used car salesman too? Or I think he's just a Lexus salesman. Sure, he sells used cars. Kiss babies, gets to feel important.
He's just post haircut, so.
Well, you look great. You always look great. Really quick, and I think I just want to add this, and listen, I appreciate your time. I mean, I really do. I want to add something to this. I know that Will the Glairer had that 12-hour stream that he did over New Year's, and it sucks. I had the link. I was trying to get in. I was out.
The Glairer, the woman beater. Also a Karen Read supporter. History of beating up women.
I couldn't get through the security verification on my phone. I was kind of angry. I couldn't get on, but I did listen to your segment. And I think you said one thing or a multitude of things that I think that really added up really well and kind of set the tone for 2025. You said, look, we've had a little bit of downtime. We've probably had a little bit of frustration. We felt that maybe some of it was pulling, away and things are coming back in, and we're all kind of.
Right. Well, they had problems because people dropped out. And I think a lot of the supporters dropped out for Karen Read for various reasons. So they're just trying to keep rallying the troop and keeping it going, keeping the grift going because it's lucrative. Certainly isn't lucrative on this side of the fence.
Joining and the uplift is happening, and you said it's 2025. This is going to be a new year, and it's nice to see everybody coming back together. And I will I'll quote the article. I think Howie Carr is absolutely correct that Karen Read will be acquitted in 2025.
Well, they've been also saying the feds are coming in 2024, 2023. Now the feds are coming 2025. Karen's going to be acquitted. She could be acquitted. I could be totally wrong. Anything's possible. And I think, anything less than convicted of the second degree charges will be a failure on the Commonwealth's part. And what we will see after this, and why I continue to talk about Karen Read, is if this is successful for Karen Read, we will see more and more of these pre-trial innocence fraud campaigns and a real abuse of our justice system. So that is why I get so irritated when people on this side of the fence say it was just an accident, or they talk about other innocence fraud grifts as legitimate pieces of film or things like that. It really exists. So I think this can only really be looked at correctly in a long line of innocence fraud campaigns that have been sweeping America like a tsunami and have been helped along with the help of open society, i.e. Soros-backed prosecutors, meaning the Open Society Foundation put in nearly $50 million. I think it was in 2014 to fund all sorts of district attorneys campaigns all over the country. So they had all these defense attorneys run for district attorney, and many of them got in. Chesa Boudin in San Francisco, Larry Krasner in Philadelphia, Kimberly Fox in Chicago, and of course George Gascon in Los Angeles, who was just recalled. Who was just voted out. Chesa Boudin was recalled, and so many of them have been a disaster. So they said, we're sick of losing in court. Why don't we just put in a defense attorney so that the people won't be represented and the victim's family won't be represented, and we'll have two defense attorneys talking to themselves in court. It's similar to saying, I'm so sick of the Knicks losing. Let's just have them suit up on the colors on the other team, and everyone put the basket into the same, and the ball into the same basket, and we'll win every time if nobody's playing defense against us, and we're all on the same team.
I have such a good feeling. My heart feels good. I love the way that the case has been going. I love Karen's new attorney. Alessi is just amazing. I think he matches up and just matches so up well with Brennan and just gives him what he needs to get back when Brennan gets up there. And obviously he did a very great job this last hearing, and to get, his point across that Dr. Russell is a dog bite expert. So we're excited. I know everybody, we had a nice gathering last night. There's a lot of...
Well, I think some people can't stand being in a minority and will just go with the majority opinion. I think there's some weak characters. I think there's some disordered and disturbed people who have criminal backgrounds themselves and will be on team criminal against the system every time. They hate the police, and they love a story that criminalizes the police and makes the police look like criminals. That's one of the big aims of the wrongful conviction movement. As Martin Pribe, who wrote a great book called Crooked City about Chicago and the innocence fraud going on in that city. Nowhere is there more innocence fraud than Chicago. That they turn the cops into criminals and the criminals into folk heroes. I think a lot of people, and then there are the good people who have just been duped by it. It's really slick. They get the ARCA experts up there and they think, well, these people wouldn't have a wrong opinion. They're experts, reliance on authority, but the wrong authority. And they ignore all the evidence presented by the Commonwealth as unreliable and incorrect. So it's a whole mix, Comfort and Joy.
Supporters there and some creators, and I kind of feel like everything's coming back together again, and that's what we need. It's what Karen needs.
Yeah, I think this, we're looking at things a little differently going into trial 2. It won't be a mirror image because the Commonwealth's not putting together a mirror image of their. So we realize that we have to mix some things up, and the addition of Bob Alessi to the team is important, and he brings a very distinct background. I believe he went to school for pharmacy at one point before law school, and so he's got a different background and obviously a very bright man, and a great addition to the legal team. I think.
Wait, who went to? Oh, Alessi went to pharmacy school, and then became a lawyer. I mean, that's an innocence fraud lawyer there, Alessi. I knew exactly where he was going to go, into Karen Reed's rights at the end of feeding Marie Russell all her lines. Does anybody remember Alessi questioning on redirect Marie Russell? And he was so scared she was going to give a wrong answer that he made all his questions multiple choice. Was it a big dog or a small dog? Have you seen a lot of these bites or a little? They were, and sometimes you could tell. Sometimes he would give her a multiple choice, and she still got it wrong. You could tell, and he'd just move on to the next question. She still gave the wrong answer.
You need to take a look at different things, and we're doing that. And for me, if I can, and I said this, I was on Nurse Kim's show last night, and obviously on the Glare on New Year's Eve. If I can jump on occasionally on these and help to spread the word about things that we have coming up that are important to us and important to Karen and the family.
Karen, important to Karen and the family. Karen and the family. Yeah. And if we can just keep raising money, keep the funds coming in, because our family, especially Karen, doesn't want to put any of her own money into her defense.
As well as the legal team, then I'll certainly try to do that increasingly. And if I can help to bring some new ideas that might help fundraising wise, I want to do that. Obviously, the numbers that Karen spoke about in the Vanity Fair article that I think is still on the stands through the end of January of $5 million is just, it's
I don't believe that at all, that she's $5 million in debt. And especially because he's bringing it up. That figure that Karen Reed brought up, that mythical figure, $5 million in debt, I don't believe it. Unless he's supposed to be working pro bono. I don't believe it. I just don't. I don't believe that she's in debt for $5 million. I can believe that Alessi is trying to make a name for himself as a lawyer in this case by doing this pro bono. Pro bono can mean a lot of things. It can mean that your time is free, but not, say, the Xeroxing fees or maybe the fees of your assistants or something else.
mind-boggling number.
Or your travel fees. It can mean a lot of things.
Brother, I can't wrap my head around. And while the fund is doing incredibly well and just crested 600,000 last night, amazing, and a huge thank you to everyone who has given. We can't rest there, and I'll probably sound like a broken record over the.
They just raised $600,000, and we can't get $10,000 together for Lindsay. Is this the pathetic state of things? $600,000. I mean, seriously? $600,000 on top of everything else that they've raised? Oh.
Coming weeks and months, but that's really where my mindset is as Karen's brother is what can we do? And sometimes it's these small things like Kelly did with the $7.60 for my dad's 76th birthday, and that brought in about $28,000. Wow. And over the course of the last week for Kim's birthday, for Nurse Kim's, people were giving, she asked for $3.
Oh, here's more money just flying in. Listen to these figures. I thought he said, 6,000. I thought he said 600,000. Should we go back? Let's go back.
Crested 600,000 last night.
Nope, that was 600,000.
Amazing, and a huge thank you to everyone who has given. We can't rest there, and I'll probably sound like a broken record over the coming weeks and months, but that's really where my mindset is as Karen's brother is what can we do? And sometimes it's these small things like Kelly did with the $7.60 for my dad's 76th birthday, and that brought in about $28,000. Wow. And over the course of the last week for Kim's birthday, for Nurse Kim's, people were giving, she asked for $3.90. Obviously, some people gave more and gave $39, or there was one.
I'm speechless. Do we have to connect it to a birthday? Is that what we have to do? Little gimmicks. Everyone give $3.99.
Was $390 and so on and so forth. But overall, most were $3.90. And that brought in about $6,500, right? And
Yesterday was Carol C's birthday. Happy birthday, Carol. Everybody give $9.99 to Lindsay's fundraiser. If you can give more, give more. If you can give less, give less. Celebration of Carol C's, Sunny T's birthday.
the course of just about a week. You can't do that every week, although I'm sure we could fill everybody's birthdays with something here. But if we can do, I think, some of these small things instead of necessarily from my lens, instead of maybe the popcorn events and whatnot, some of these small things I think allow people to get involved at a much smaller denomination and allow.
Yeah, they were raising money through popcorn, selling popcorn.
Allow them to feel as though they're part of everything, which they already are, by the way, right? You don't have to be part of the free Karen.
Because $28,000 is considered the smaller stuff. If you can just get a smaller pizza instead of a larger pizza, make coffee at home instead of going to Starbucks, that's what they really appreciate more than anything.
But I do think that these things allow people to be in.
They're not profiting. Kimmy K, it's worse than that. Profiting off a man's death. Profiting off a murder. A second-degree murder. To support a killer, an accused killer, who I think most rational people would think is guilty. I mean, this is, it's not unusual, though. Every single innocence fraud campaign is like this that I see. They're so lucrative, whether you're on the Hollywood side, I didn't know exactly what to call it, entertainment side. So whether you're writing books or documentaries, because the American public and the world public, at least in the Western countries, we cannot get enough of this wrongfully accused, wrongfully convicted story. It is like crack cocaine to Americans. Can't get enough of it. Oh, it's a documentary about a wrongfully accused, wrongfully convicted killer. Oh, gotta watch that. I mean, you would think the public would have gotten sick of it. I mean, even when they made a TV movie, the same kind of about Tim Hennis called Innocent Victims, and turns out then DNA rolls around and Tim Hennis's DNA is found inside the victim. He's a baby killer, mama killer. Nobody thinks has any kind of skepticism with the next one. They just buy the next piece of media, hook, line, and sink. It doesn't matter. Making a murderer proved to be totally untrue. Doesn't matter. When's the next one coming out? I can't wait to be fooled by the next one. West Memphis 3, Paradise Lost. Turns out the guy really was a Satanist with a really scary mental health history of killing cats and dogs, et cetera, and there's a confession from one of the three killers. I mean, so many confessions, multiple, like so many we lose count of. When's the next documentary coming out? Can't wait to consume more of this media.
Involved, feel like they're truly part of something, which they are. And I will tell you, and I said this to Kim yesterday, we, the Reed family, all of us, myself, Karen, my parents, we read every message on that defense fund page every day. I talked to parents. I had dinner with my parents and Karen tonight, we talk to them. We talk every day.
Well, we know that they're on. We know Karen's always on Facebook. We know that. We know she's a Facebook
Multiple times a
aficionado.
day. Did you see this comment? And truly, it's the comments of, I wish I could give more, but at this time I can only give $5, $3, $10. Incredible. Sometimes those are the ones that mean more than.
Right. Because I'm working 2 jobs. My grandmother's in the hospital, and I want to give my last 3 cents to an accused cop killer. Disgusting.
The $400, the $500, the $1,000. We'll take those too. Don't get me wrong, but it's the ones where somebody's doing without. They're cutting back on a grocery order, or they're cutting back on going from a large pizza to a small pizza on a Saturday, something. Those what that means to my family. I'm clearly at a loss for words. So thank you to everyone, and I just wanted to jump on and yet again, Brian.
All right. He just wanted to jump on literally. He had no time to even sit down. He just wanted to jump on and balance himself. What are his 2 arms on? It's the oddest stance I've ever seen online, anyone online do. So for those listening on podcast, Nathan Reed is wearing a check, like a hunter's check, red check shirt, and his arms are kind of outstretched, like he's putting his hand on maybe like a chair and I don't know, some kind of tall, I don't know what you'd call that, counter. All right. I think this is I'm getting to the end of what I can take with this.
Another great show, and I know you've got an incredible show coming up this with Miss Perkins, and I can't wait.
Yeah, and I mean, full transparency. I mean, and if you don't mind me saying this to the audience, you actually gave me that suggestion. You were like, let's reach out and maybe we can get her on the show. And I think Mike's had her on the Young Mike on the Young Jerks has had her before too. And Mike is saying that he was very excited to see her come in. And we have a litany of questions for her. I polled my audience.
Wait, who's he talking about? I missed this. Does anybody know who he's talking about? I missed it.
And I'm going to start putting all of these together, tonight and tomorrow, and be very well prepared. And I want to learn about her policies and what she's going to do in 2026, obviously to win. But if she gets into office, what is she going to do to start getting truth and transparency throughout?
Right. So this is also why innocence fraud is so big, is because any politician on either side of the fence will join in on an innocence fraud campaign, release a guilty person with an innocence fraud campaign to further their own career. Politicians aren't choosy with that, so they're trying to get somebody into office on the free Karen Reed bandwagon. Scary. In Massachusetts, scary. And we just already, we're working. We've seen the way the people who are really beholden to this movement, how destructive they are in cities like San Francisco, New York City, where we have Bragg as our DA, who's also an open society, Soros-backed DA. And they don't have to even be backed by the open society. They can be just ideologically aligned to this movement. And it's so destructive what they do. You see, what they do is what Gascon did in LA is he got rid of the entire department that notified victims' families when their loved one's killer was up for parole, to keep them out of parole hearings. Also got rid of enhancement so that if you commit a felony with a gun, you could enhance the charge by adding on more years, more punishment, years in prison. They got rid of that. So people were doing tiny sentences for really serious crimes and just not charging anyone, too. This is what we also see in New York City. Just dropping charges, making crazy deals with people for really serious crimes, or just letting people go. That's what they want. So it's really just also to get people in power who are beholden to this movement. And that was the whole point of the Free Karen Read movement in the beginning, in my opinion, was to have this, to intimidate everyone. And there's a little bit more talk about Karen Read possibly renting crowds in the beginning, meaning you hire people to show up as protesters, to have a crowd and intimidate people. Hey, Tommy DV, nice to see you. Hello, Roberta and everyone. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. So if what that does is by showing big crowds, shows that and put pressure on the Commonwealth to drop the charges before they ever go to trial. That was the original plan, and that is what Yannetti was so good at getting charges dropped before they ever went to trial. But did not work. The Commonwealth was determined, so good for Adam Lally and Laura McLaughlin. Does anybody have any questions? I think that's it for comments. That is it for tonight. That's what I have for tonight. I'm off tomorrow, but I'll be back Saturday night at 6 p.m. Eastern. Have a terrific night, everybody. Fraud says Bill Reed is the dean. Thanks for mentioning that. Is the dean of finance at Bentley. They know how to get money. Right. He used to be. I think he's retired. Isn't he, Fraud? I think he's retired now. She looks like she's full of Botox, says Barb. Yeah. Doesn't she look like she's not hurting for money? Her hair is perfectly done. She's Botoxed up. She has a new expensive outfit every time she's on TV. All right. I will see you Saturday at 6 p.m. Have a great night. Stay warm, everybody who's in the Northeast and beyond.
I hit my boyfriend with my car. It wasn't an accident, but with lying lawyers I'll go far. Lying lawyers and witness harassment, I'll avoid prison. It was snowing. I pushed the pedal down, hit him hard. Now the legal system a clown. Innocence fraud campaign to save my skin. Making money, truth is my second victim. Carry, Jen, like John, you were my mom. My innocence fraud campaign is my biggest hit yet. I hit my boyfriend system, my clown. Innocence fraud campaign to save my skin. Making money, truth is my